results in trauma. Sometimes the best that you could do still results in your children being wounded from you. Not because you meant to, but because your best was rooted in trauma, because your best was determined on your parents' best and your parents were abusive.
Do you have a good relationship with your parents? If you don't, has anybody ever made you feel bad for not having a good relationship with your parents? Probably you have got no contact with your parent, and probably one of your parents, maybe your mom or your dad, or even the both. Okay, you went no contact, and somebody just asking you, "How is your mom?" And you're like, "Oh, how is your dad?" Or let's just say mom. And you're like, I don't speak to her anymore. And they'll be like, "Oh, but she's still your mom. Whatever she must have done, you should forgive her. She's still your mom." You know, people always want to blame the children for whatever relationship is going on with the parent. They always want to blame you as the children, the adult children, that you are the problem. You should always, try to overlook whatever must have happened between your relationship with your mom or with your dad and still give them that respect because they brought you into this world. Nobody want to know how you feel, or nobody wants to care how they treated you, or even if they are one at fault. They always want to get a pass. They always want the parents to get a pass, while you should work on you being the mature person and, build a relationship with you and your parents. In today's video, we're talking about broken relationship with parents. Okay, so let's go ahead and watch this video together, then we'll come back and discuss. But then I'd like to know your thoughts about this conversation down in the comment section, respectfully as always.
I realized today that my mother raised me, but I never had a relationship with her. And there's a difference between being raised and having an actual relationship, because raised means I put clothes on your back, shoes on your feet. I make sure you get to school, you look presentable. I teach you what I know, but I don't necessarily foster a healthy relationship with you. I don't get to know you. You don't get to know me. We kind of just coexist in this world because I'm your mother and you are my child. And I was thinking about the fact that a person asked me recently, "What is your relationship with your parents like?" And I said, well, I'm not that close to my parents like I would want to be, but this is not because I didn't want to be close. This is because the only way that I can be close is if I tolerate disrespect, or if I tolerate being used, or if I tolerate being half loved. And because I'm in a season where I'm learning to love myself and learning what healthy boundaries are, I'm not even allowed to tolerate no type of trauma or disrespect from the people who I call my parents, right? But when you tell people you don't really have a close relationship with your parents, they often look at you like you're the problem, as if as their child, it's your responsibility to keep that relationship intact, like relationships are not a two-way street. I'm saying all this to say a lot of us were not relationshiped, we were raised. Yeah. A lot of us didn't learn to be seen or validated or understood. We learned to be raised and to not ask no questions and to just tolerate whatever happens, right? Mm-hmm. And people often wonder why I'm so close with my friends, right? Because my friends, they have shown me what genuine unconditional love is, right? And I feel like when you have family, family is almost like an excuse to just do whatever you want and be able to get away with it, right? Your family kind of will just disrespect you, abuse you, treat you any kind of way under the premise of, well, that's your mom, that's your dad, that's your sister, that's your brother. They feel like they don't have to treat you right. They don't have to respect your boundaries. They don't have to see you. They don't have to support you. You are family. They don't have to do anything for you except be related to you. But here's the thing. Relatives don't mean relationship. Just because they're related to you doesn't mean they have a relationship to you. Yeah. And this is why when you have people in your life that meet you as a stranger, but then soon become your friend, you begin to feel like that's your actual family. Mm-hmm. But I'm saying this to say, y'all gotta stop shaming people who don't have good relationships with their parents. It's not on the child. 9 times out of 10, if a parent and a child has a messed up relationship, it's something the parent did or didn't do. And we don't like to say that, right? But the child is only as much as its parent and the one that's bringing them up, right? And I know I'm going to get a lot of backlash from the moms and dads who feel like I did the best that I can, but sometimes the best that you could do was still not good enough. Sometimes the best that you could do was still trash. Sometimes the best that you could do still results in trauma. Sometimes the best that you could do still results in your children being wounded from you. Not because you meant to, but because your best was rooted in trauma, because your best was determined on your parents' best, and your parents were abusive, right? And I had to tell one of my sisters this maybe a couple of months ago, that when she said, my kids should be happy that he didn't get the same treatment that we got, because when we were coming up, we were getting beat, we were getting done dirty, we were getting this and getting that. And I had to remind her, I said, sis, don't raise your children based on the premise of our parents, because we didn't necessarily have good parents, right? If you measure your parenthood based on our parenthood, you will still abuse your child, because you shouldn't be comparing yourself to parents who abused you, right? You shouldn't be saying, oh, well, my kids got it better than I had it because I was getting beat every day, but you verbally abused them, right? If you're going to measure yourself up against any other parent, it should be the ones who you know are really 5-star parents, slow to anger, very patient, talk to their kids, have relationships with them, but do not measure your parenting to your parents' parenting, especially if your parents were abusive, because you will end up passing down abuse to your children based on the premise of saying, hey, at least you didn't get the upbringing that I got. But I'm saying all of this to say, just because you raised your kids didn't mean you established a relationship with them. I'm also saying that when you meet a person who doesn't necessarily have a close relationship with their parents, it's not because they didn't want to. It's not because they did something wrong. It's not because something is wrong with that person. 9 times out of 10, they've tried to foster healthy relationships with their parents, but for whatever reason, it failed. Yeah. Maybe the parents are in a state of arrested development. Maybe the parents won't take accountability. Maybe the parents continue to abuse, manipulate, mistreat. Maybe there's no rekindling. Maybe it's just too far gone to forgiveness. For me, it's not that I don't have a relationship with my parents. I just fully understand that in order to have a relationship with them, it would have to be rooted in a trauma bond. It would have to be rooted in me laying down my personal boundaries and saying, hey, I'm going to keep on forcing this relationship. So now I have both of my parents in my life, but I don't necessarily have a relationship with them. It is as much as, hey, mom, how you doing? Hey, dad, how you doing? Good, good, good. Everybody good? Okay. I love you. Hope everything great. We'll talk soon. Happy birthday. I'm sending you some flowers, sending you a bouquet. I'm doing whatever. But as far as talking to you about my personal life and walking with me and being able to have parents to call on, parents at my events, or to support me through things, that does not exist for me. Not because I don't want it to, but because I have parents who have chosen their own path and to live their lives separately from their children, not to be involved with their children, not because their children didn't want to be involved with them, but because they never created the capacity to be involved with their children. Therefore, stop judging people whose parents are not around. You never know the circumstance or the situation.
I was a low maintenance daughter because I learned early on that asking for too much emotionally would either get me ignored, dismissed, or make my mom upset. So I adapted. I didn't need help. I didn't cry in front of her. I didn't really ask her for advice. And I definitely didn't go to her for my emotional support. But here's what I know now. 5 signs that my mother was emotionally immature that I couldn't see until I got older. 1, I felt like the parent. Her moods ran the house. I learned to read the room and shrink accordingly. 2, while she did apologize, as a child, I never could understand why she would do what she did in the first place. So the apologies never landed well. And as an adult, I feel like when people apologize now, I can sense when it's disingenuous, and I take apologies very, very seriously. 3, our connection stayed very surface level. I mentioned before that I'm a very kind of deep person, deep as in I'd like to have my relationships with some depth, and we unfortunately never got to that point. We would gossip, we would cackle, laugh, we had a good time from that regard, but not anything deeper than that. She was anxious. She was anxious about a lot of things, and one thing that I do reward my mom for doing is she ensured that me and my younger sister were protected because of her own childhood trauma. So we definitely didn't have any issues with that. But because of that, the control of keeping us not going out or not meeting new people was pretty harmful. I wasn't able to trust myself when meeting new people. I didn't really develop the sense of discernment really because of that. And lastly, what I thought was really interesting, and I don't know if this is like a big sign, but it's definitely something. My mother didn't have many friends. I didn't have aunties around me. I had my blood relatives, but it felt like she couldn't cultivate relationship or friendship outside of a family, if that makes sense. And I want to be clear, this is not about villainizing my mother. I love her very much. I just see her as a woman. Now that I am a 38-year-old woman, it's really difficult to not, but it's about validating the version of us that learned to disappear, to stay quiet because we knew that our needs were not going to be bigger than the program. I'm doing a Mother's Day series for people like us that feel motherless in ways that aren't always visible or obvious. I did part 1 yesterday, and tomorrow is going to be the final part. And part 3, I'm going to share some ways and rituals I take care of myself year over year to reclaim Mother's Day, a way of healing that helps me every single second Sunday in May. Drop a comment if this is helpful for you, and I hope to see you tomorrow. Love y'all.
I might trigger some people with this, but I'm going to talk about it. Let's talk about parenthood right now. I am 36. My parents are senior citizens. Many of us, this generation of mine, are starting to sever or really limit the relationships we have with toxic family members and toxic parents. Why? Not because we don't love you. It's because we've outgrown you and we've watched you not grow at all. The hard reality of it is you lead others by leading yourself. And at a certain point to your child, that pedestal disappears and you are a human now. Once I see you as a human, I'm navigating and assessing like, you got all the advice about the things you've never done. You have all of the rules and requirements around ways you don't move. Many of y'all wanted us to be in the rooms you were never in, experience the things you never experienced, get the education you never got, and you don't consider the side effects that I will now outgrow you. Not that I don't need you, but now some of your advice is moot and void because I know better. When you try to warn me about that thing, I know not to be fearful of that thing. You are still operating in a sense of fear. I am operating in a sense of abundance. You have not healed from any of your previous trauma. I am still in therapy because of your bullshit from what you didn't heal because of your trauma. And now when it's time to have accountability conversations, y'all trigger. When it's time to really dive in and have some self-awareness, y'all feel disrespected. Yeah. What? It is wild to see a bunch of 55-plus-year-olds walking through this world playing victim, especially when they're playing victim to the relationships they have with their own children. And they want us to have the relationship with them that they have with their parents, which is one of no boundaries, one of constant disrespect and belittling and antagonizing. Some of us, our parents were our first bullies. And now that we're adults, they think we owe them something. Yeah. I don't owe you anything. We don't owe you anything. The idea is once you learn that every teacher becomes a student, if you're actively growing, you can see the relationship with your children as a learning experience. But no, not if you're emotionally immature. You're only hearing through your triggers. You're only experiencing things through a very limited lens. And then y'all come on this internet and complain about why your children don't have relationships with you anymore. Go to therapy.
I just watched a video that said, once a child has become an adult, parents no longer get to be the parent that they want to be to their child. They must be the parent that their child wants them to be to them. So let's talk about it. Most children are going no contact with their parents today for the simple fact that a lot of parents to gaslight their children into forgetting about how they were treated as a child. The podcast I just watched just said what was a regular Tuesday for you ended up being a day that I can never forget as a young adult. And it's the same day that I got to go to a therapist and speak about just to heal from. So what wasn't big to you because that was normal in your parenting routine became a trauma for me that I have to heal from as old. So simply put in my words, in today's time, the relationship has gone no contact. It's just the climax to a story of a narrative that parents created. Because again, remember, for some children, you were never allowed to speak up and to hold adults accountable for the things that they did wrong, because that was deemed disrespectful. So you grew up to navigate through life being walked over, being mistreated, and being abused, because those are the same patterns and the same things that were happening to you as a child, just by people who had no accountability. Let me know what y'all think.
I don't know about you guys, but for me, when I see a person that chooses to go no contact with their parent, I do not blame them. Especially if you're even from Africa. I do not blame you, because here in Africa, we are told to respect our parents 100. No matter what they do, you still have to take care of them. You're responsible for your parents. In fact, your parents are giving birth to us, or they give birth to us so that we can take care of them when they are old. So if you, as an adult, and you're raised in Africa, and you've got no contact with your parents, one of your parents, maybe your mom or your dad, I'm not going to blame you. In fact, I will clap for you, because you made a bold step. A lot of us were not raised well by our parents, but then we're still talking to them. Not because if you choose not to talk to them, nothing's going to happen. But I just feel like the way they kind of said the whole thing, if you don't talk to them, you are at fault. Everybody want to blame you. Even if you stop talking to them for a period of time, you are the bad person. Nobody want to look at how the parents actually raised you, if they were emotionally available for you, if they actually were good parents to you. If they're a narcissist or not, nobody cares if they're even provided for you, because there's some parents that did not provide for their children and allow their children to go provide and fed for them at a young age, that allow them to in fact the daughters, in fact, if you're in a household that your dad did not train you or did not provide for you very well, as a girl in that household, you're supposed to go out and go and look for a man that will take care of you, right? And with that, you can get SA or grapes, or even start doing smex work and all of that, just to be able to feed yourself or send yourself to school. And if you're in that kind of household, nobody's going to ask you, where did you get your money from? Because they don't actually care. That's what they expect you to do. So the thing is, imagine you being that kind of person, being that kind of daughter in that situation. Would you later on want to be close to your parents, knowing that they brought you to this world to go and put yourself in danger? Because it must have been avoidable if they could provide for you, even if it's a little way. They could provide for you the way you wanted. Some parents usually feel like they're entitled to your success. They always want to get from you when they see that you're being successful. Even if you're not successful, some parents always demand money from you, because they are your parents. I don't know how it is over where you guys are, but for where I am, the parents want to always ask you for money. You must send them money. You must take care of them. They did not plan for their future. Most African parents did not plan for their future. You are their future as a child. They give it to you so that you can take care of them, so that you can give them money for this, money for that, take them to the hospital, buy this, you feed them. In fact, you pay them monthly allowance and all of that, which is fine if you want to do that because you choose to. But the way they demand for it and the way they feel like it is their right to collect it from you, that is where the problem is. Okay, if you want to do it from your heart, it's fine to take care of your parents. Fine if you want to do that, if you have and you want to. But when someone is demanding and making you feel like they're entitled to whatever you have because they are your parents, that is where the problem is. And the thing is, why didn't the parents, prepare for their future? Why did they use their children for their future? Because it's more or less like they gave birth to the children for their future, for their old age, or they give birth to children. Many people tell you that, oh, you're a child free by choice woman, always going to take care of you when you are old. Exactly. Our parents give birth to us so that we can take care of them when they are old. So now that they are old, they need you to take care of them. You go and work and give them money you do this, you have to be there, you have to check up on them, do everything. If you don't do all of that, there's a problem. And the thing is that people around you always want to point the fingers at you and be like, whatever your mom or your dad must have done to you, you have to forgive them because they are still your mom. And that statement is very annoying. Okay, if you've got no contact with your mom and somebody tell you, oh, what happened, but she's still your mom, even when you explain everything that happened or the things that you feel like you're feeling, and they still say, but she's still your mom, it feels like the person is dismissing how you feel. The person doesn't care about your feelings, your emotions at that point. They just want you to forget how you feel and just put your mom first because she's still your mom, right? And nobody want to go and talk to the parents and be like, you guys messed up, okay? They always want to point the fingers at the children, which is very, very messed up. As the first creator said, relationship happens within two people. A good relationship is within two people. If one person is not putting in the work and the other person is the one putting in the work, it's not going to work. It's just like relationship with a man and a woman. Okay, if you are the one doing everything and the other person is not doing, the other person will be tired and just withdraw, right? So most of the time, our parents don't want to put in the work, they want to put in the effort, and when you go no contact with them, they are quick to start, making it feel like you are the problem, you left them, you're a wicked person, or after they brought you into this world, after they did this, they took care of you and all of that, they just feel like they gave you everything. Some of parents will tell you they gave you everything, they sacrificed everything for you, because having a child or having children comes with a lot of sacrifices, right? So they tell you they sacrificed everything, they did this for you, they did it for you, but at the end of the day, you do not appreciate and you're going in contact with them. Some parents feel like just providing alone, it's enough to be a good parent. It's not enough. You have to be there for them emotionally. Your children should be able to come to you when they are in danger. A lot of us cannot run to someone like me. When I was young, I can't run to my parents when I'm in danger because they're going to beat me or they're going to blame me for the thing. Most African parents, like that's how they are. Okay, if you are going through something, my parents are the last person I'll talk to, right? I don't want them to even know. Okay, you have to avoid them knowing because it's danger. Okay, whatever happens, they will just want you to just like you are the problem. You are the problem. They don't want to even know what happened, anything. So far, you're there. You are the problem. Okay, so all these things affect the relationship with your parents when you're old or when you're now an adult, right? So I just feel like people should stop, pointing fingers at people that are not so close to their parents and making them feel like, oh, you're not grateful or you should, whatever they must have done doesn't matter and all of that. It just doesn't make sense in my own head. You guys, what's your take on this video? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. Respectfully, as always, your girl Mary Davis, and thank you so much for tuning in today's video. I hope you enjoyed this one. Please like and share and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next one, guys. Bye.